Morning, good afternoon. Thanks for attending the Oracle Integration webinar. Thanks for joining our quarterly webcast. I'm Jürgen Kress, part of the Oracle product management team. In case you missed one of the webcasts, on-demand recordings are available at Oracle Video Hub, including presentation for download. In today's presentation, the Boxfusion team will give us a customer case and best practices on how to connect Oracle CX services with Oracle integration. And Neil Kominski will update us on the latest news from Oracle Cloud World. Good morning, Andy.
Morning, Jürgen. Thanks for having me.
So Boxfusion is an Oracle SaaS partner and you implement CX services. And what's your experience in those projects?
Yeah, that's right, Jürgen. We specialize mainly around customer experience CRM, but for almost any successful CRM or CX project, we need to involve integration, and Oracle Integration Cloud we've been working with since its first coming, really, and specializing in that and using it for those sort of lightweight and agile integrations that we often come across to make CRM projects successful.
Excellent, thanks. And from your team, Yilmaz joins us. Yilmaz, good morning.
Morning, Jürgen.
What was the first Oracle integration product you implemented?
It was actually OIC when it was ICS with Neil back in 2015 when we started the journey.
That was when we moved to the cloud, and I think you even implemented some of the on-premise products.
Correct, yeah, to integrate on-premise products into Oracle Cloud.
I believe you did the first SOA Suite 12c project in EMEA.
It was primarily around the ICS for more of a greenfield integration to integrate on-prem into Oracle CX Cloud. Again, it was the product back in its infancy, but it's incredible to see.
You have a long history and a long experience in connecting Oracle SaaS solutions.
Indeed, from the beginning.
And Neil, you are part of the gang also since a couple of years. So what are you going to show us from the news from Oracle Cloud World today?
Well, we had many exciting announcements at Oracle Cloud World. I suppose one of the ones that caught most people's attention was RPA and what we're planning to do in that space. So I'll be going through that today in detail.
Wonderful. So let's get started. So Oracle integration is a tool to connect SaaS solutions like CX, HCM, and ERP Cloud with out-of-the-box adapters. Quick housekeeping, today's session is live and this presentation is being recorded. Please feel free to post your questions via the conference Q&A tool in the Zoom console. At the end of the webcast, we will answer them. Slides and an on-demand webcast will be posted at Oracle Video Hub. We will post announcements and links in the conference chat, and please complete the online survey at the end of the webinar. As we will present product roadmap information, please pay attention to the Oracle Safe Harbor statement. Please do tweet and blog about services and products which are available today. Today's agenda. After my quick announcements, I will hand over to Neil, who will give you some insights about robotic process automation. And then we will introduce the Boxfusion team and how they integrate and connect CX services. And they will also give us details about the data purge solution. At the end of the webcast, we will wrap up and answer your questions. So quick integration updates. We are excited and humbled to share that Gartner has named Oracle Integration a leader and position highest for the ability to execute in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. The report is available at bit.ly/Gartner OIC. In case you missed Oracle Cloud World, the conference is available on demand. You can watch the keynotes from Larry and Zafra Katz and the general sessions on demand at oracle.com/cloudworld. You can also attend the on-demand community webcast with details about Oracle integration and digital assistant. As part of the session catalog, you can download the presentations. Oracle integration is part of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Free Trial Program. You can build, test, deploy Oracle integration and connect your applications. The trial is valid for up to 30 days. If you want to try Oracle integration, you can use the documentation, and as part of the documentation, we offer some labs where you can get started hands-on. If you want to implement Oracle integration to connect SaaS, we highly recommend to work with an Oracle certified partner like Boxfusion. At Partner Finder, you can search for certified partners per region And at Cloud Marketplace, you find additional recipes and adapters from third party. If you have questions, if you need support, you can collaborate at Oracle Cloud Customer Connect. You can start conversation, submit innovations, and earn badges. Today's webcast is recorded and will be published at Oracle Video Hub. Please subscribe to receive the latest updates. For regular updates, please subscribe to the Oracle Integration newsletter. The quarterly updates from our team include the latest product information, events, success stories, white papers, and trainings. With that short introduction, I would like to hand over to you, Neil.
Thank you, Jürgen. Thank you very much. So I'll start sharing my screen. So let's see, clicking on the share button. Can you see my screen? Yes.
Looks good.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through just
presentation mode.
Yeah, I'm going into presentation mode. So I'm just going into for a couple of slides here to begin with. And as usual with my laptop, when I check on this here, I'm going into presentation mode. You should be able to see the presentation mode now. Yeah. Are you seeing the notes or are you seeing the right screen?
We see the notes.
You see the notes. So I'm just going to go in here and I say swap presenter view. Is that better?
Perfect. Let's go.
Great. Let's start. Well, welcome everybody. As you all know, Oracle Cloud World happened in September. And of course, there were very interesting announcements in the integration space. So I'm just going to go through a couple of things here. Now, our focus is on having a complete integration platform. And as you can see here, to get this complete offering, we are working on robotic process automation. We're also doing quite a bit of work in respect of healthcare as well. And of course, to make integration simple. And simple, of course, is through our adapters. And we have a rich set of adapters which are being augmented with every release of OIC, and also with our rapid adapter builder. And this rapid adapter builder will allow you to create your own adapters for REST-based apps where we don't already provide adapters ourselves. So making it even easier for you to connect to those apps. Observability is also very important here. So we're looking at unified observability. Now, within OIC itself, we have comprehensive observability functionality, but this is also augmented with OCI logging analytics, OCI logging, OCI application performance management as well. And of course, our focus now on business automation insights. And intelligent, of course, this is we're looking at the use of generative AI. So this is something that has been a buzzword, but we are just making it more into like in the integration space. How can we use generative AI, for example, in the design time? In other words, kind of designing integrations based on input of natural language, etc., etc. And of course, such functionality as intelligent document processing. The ability to parse documents to establish what type of document this is. For example, it's a driver's license or it's a passport, and extracting the key information from those documents and making it very easy via OIC to push that information to enterprise systems of record, such as HCM for an onboarding scenario. Now we have, this is really great as well. When you see our focus is on the integration core. Like as Jürgen said, OIC is the best platform for integrating apps, especially Oracle SaaS apps. And we focus really on making that very, very easy and making it easy to, SaaS enablement, connectivity, and of course, providing you new adapters, providing you with what we call our business accelerators as well, best practice out of the box implementations of standard integration use cases for Oracle apps. Like the innovations that we've already brought in there, things like the project framework, the ability to use private endpoints, OIC events, RPA, etc., etc. These are really innovations that you will be seeing released over the next couple of release cycles in the product itself. Now, from a cloud world perspective, we did talk about the rapid adapter builder. And this is where I'm saying is making it very easy for you to create your own adapters to apps for which we don't currently have an adapter. Now, this is typically for apps that have REST APIs and giving you the ability very, very quickly in a declarative mode to create an adapter that you can then use in OIC to access those apps. So you can see here, the idea is, okay, you're starting off with a Postman collection, which specifies, which APIs you want to use. In this example, it's from Asana, as you can see here. And that's kind of pushed through Visual Studio, and we get what's known as an adapter definition document. And this is something that you can edit yourself, for example, to add new modes of, say, authentication or whatever. And then you just register this with OIC, and then it's available in your gallery there. So that's very, very interesting what we have here. And then later on, the support for Open API. So again, we're looking at focusing on what our users need OIC for, which, as Jürgen was saying, is connecting apps, especially Oracle SaaS apps, and evolving that integration core. So not forgetting the key use cases, but just making it much easier for you to implement those key use cases. Also looking, of course, at this intelligent automation, the use of AI, the use of intelligent document processing, etc., intelligent operations, using AI, machine learning for things like anomaly detection and those sort of things. Now, when we look at RPA, and this is going to be the focus of the demo as well today, we're looking, typically folks use APIs to get the product details, create an order in NetSuite. I have an API that I can easily use to do that. But of course, with RPA, it's the user interface. So in other words, is getting the product details via the user interface. But instead of doing it yourself, of course, we're looking at a SaaS, we're looking at a software robot to actually do this. So let's go in and have a quick look at this. And I'm just going through some other screens there showing you it, like intelligent document processing. And this is one of the areas where we're looking at leveraging other OCI services, interesting OCI services that we can have with OIC, and such as AI document understanding, that sort of stuff, document classification. So you can see how easy it is here for OIC to pull in files from somewhere, leverage the OCI services, AI services, to find out which type of documents they are, parse those documents, extract the key values, and push them down to downstream systems, of course. Now, I mentioned observability, and as you can see here, here's a couple of screenshots from what we're doing in this respect. On the left-hand side, we see the OCI logging analytics dashboard that allow me to manage a fleet of OIC instances. So normally OIC monitoring is done on an instance per instance basis within OIC itself, but OCI logging analytics gives us the opportunity to do that over our whole fleet and drill down into individual environments within that fleet, individual integrations as well. So it's a huge amount of great value add available with OCI logging analytics and these out of the box dashboards we provide for that. And also we're looking at business automation insights, the next generation of insight. So Insight was your business user-facing dashboards, answering questions such as where is order number 345, what are the top products being ordered by my customers this week, etc., etc. So this is also something that we are working on internally as well there. So let's have a quick look now at the RPA. So I'm just going in here to switching screens. I'm sorry, my screens are a bit slow in this respect here. Now, of course, this is a video, but as you can see, it's very, very short and quick. So what we're looking at here, we're going to create a software robot to do something in Oracle Applications Cloud. So the first thing that we actually do is we create a project in OIC, and the projects, for those folks who don't know it, they're just great ways of organizing your integration artifacts within a project where you can apply design time or back on top of that. And as you can see within this project here, we have things called like connection shapes. And so here we're doing, say, something for ERP cloud connection. So very much like and then we're putting in here, which fields are going to be needed here, like the URL for signing into ERP, the username, and for example, the password. So as you see, that's exactly what we have on the other side of the screen there. And of course, the password is going to be secret, correct. So we've created that shape. And now we create here the robot connection. So as you can see here, we're creating a connection to ERP Cloud here. So it's very similar to what you would do, accessing CX or whatever via the APIs. We're creating these sort of connections that you will then use in the integration itself. And now we can go in and create a robot flow. So the robot flow was essentially going to tell the robot, what do you need to do? And of course, it'll be telling things like, okay, go to this URL, enter these details here, then go to this particular screen to get the purchase order supplier here. So as you can see here, we can define certain properties here. And the input that we're putting in here is a purchase order number. So in this particular use case, we're not using the APIs from ERP to actually get the supplier. We're actually using the software robot to go and do this. Now, to begin with, our RPA offering will be for web-based apps primarily. And then going forward, the idea will be to extend that for Windows-based apps and then, the Citrix screens apps as well. But as you can see here, what we're doing here is we've externalized these connection and password information, which compared to other RPA offerings where these things are kind of hard coded within multiple times within the process flow, here we just define them once and use many times. But you see how easy it is to actually do this here now. We're just saying, okay, which field is the password, etc., etc. And then we're just going to be the submit, and of course, that's going to be the sign in here. Now, as you can see, you could also check a button here to create the screenshot. And what that would do is it would add a screenshot of what the robot is actually doing to the activity stream. So afterwards, we could see in the activity stream what has happened, machine to machine in OIC itself, and also what has the software robot actually done here. So now you can see here, we're going in and we're saying, okay, we're logging in here, and you can see now this RPA smart recording is started. So now we're going to say, okay, so where are we going to go? We're going to click on procurement because we're going to be looking for the supplier. And you're going to click on that element. And of course, that action is going to be saved there. And you can see it appears on the left-hand side here. Then we go into the next thing. Okay, we're going to be looking for this purchase order because the purchase order ID is the input that we have here. And then we're going to go in here to manage orders. And of course, that's where we're actually going to be doing the search for this particular order number, as you can see here. And of course, we're going to specify here, okay, which value are we setting in here? And of course, it's going to be the purchase order number variable that we've defined as our input at the very, very start here. And of course, we can enter a test value of that as well there. And of course, it does the search. Then we're going to just save that. And then, of course, we see now, okay, the supplier. And this is the field that we want to return, of course. So we're going to say here, we say, okay, get the text value of that. And of course, where we're going to save that to. And we're specifying the supplier details. And of course, our output is a variable. It is the supplier. So you see how easy it is, like having all of this metadata up front and then just leveraging this during the recording of the actual screen actions here. So, and as I say, you could put conditions in there if you wanted to as well. But now you can see here, okay, these are all of the targets. The targets, of course, I can go in and edit at any time there, but you see all of your steps within that. So now we've got our automation completed. And we can add environment groups here. Now, the environment groups relate to the actual, the teams that will be using these software robots. Now, when I mean teams, it could be, these are not attended robots, so to speak, but is it which logical area within the organization or which division within the organization are using these, and we're saying this is the finance team. And of course, within the finance team, I'm going to define a pool of software robots which will be assigned these tasks. So it's just the environment group is giving that sort of security around it, which set of software robots are going to be doing these tasks, etc. And then we're just activating the robot flow, and then we have that robot flow available to us then. So when that robot flow is available, we can actually go in and create an integration. So you can see, we see that many of our integrations could be hybrid. In other words, there'd be these API-based calls happening within the integration, and then maybe some steps actually being executed by a software robot. So let's start off here. And as you will see here, we've got a new action which is called robot flow. So within that, we can actually specify, okay, which robot, which one are we going to actually be calling, which flow. And you see, we've only got our get PO supplier, that we select that guy there. So just think of this as another endpoint within your integration flow, albeit this endpoint will be result in a software robot actually getting that supplier details from Fusion ERP. And then, of course, all we've got to do here is, you'll see here, we've got our purchase order number. And of course, we've got to, feed that in. Like here in this particular example, that purchase order number is being hard coded. But you could well imagine you would have orders coming in from maybe from an FTP server, those orders being parsed, the purchase order number being extracted, and that being sent on to the software robot to do the actual work here. Okay. So you see, that's very, very simple, what we actually have here. And what we're just adding out here at the very end is actually just logging the actual what's returned by the software robot invoke, which is, of course, the supplier. Now, we do see RPA in this respect as being a kind of a sometimes a tactical tool to use. You could well imagine for doing something complex in Fusion ERP, there may be multiple API calls involved. And if that's too complex to do today, then let's do it with a software robot. Let's do it with RPA and do it as I've just shown you here. And maybe in time, replace that with an orchestration that actually uses the underlying APIs to do whatever task has been done. Thinking of things like sometimes like reconciliation, which may be rather complex from an API perspective, but much, much simpler from an RPA perspective. So now we've actually got everything up and running. And now the last thing to do is actually run this guy. So we run it. And we see we've invoked the robot there. Just kind of just refresh to make sure that that's completed. And we say that's the message sent across, the purchase order number. Okay, that's what the software robot received. And then we just see down below. And we see what's actually happening here. And there it is searching for the order, finds the result. And of course, we look down below here, we'll see what it will return back, Dell Inc. And there it is there. So just a short and sweet demo of what we can actually do there with RPA. So it is something very, very exciting. And we are looking at having this available early 2024. And as I say, it was very, very well received at Cloud World. But again, every 2 months we have exciting new functionality releasing for OIC. And if you check our internal or our public article blogs, you will see that what's new for the 23.10 release, which is happening this week. With that, I pass on to Andy, and thank you all very much.
Neil, thank you for the amazing demo. Just to clarify, the robotic process automation that you showed will be part of Oracle integration, correct?
It will be part of Oracle integration. It'll be just yet another tool within the OIC toolkit. And as I say, for many occasions, it could be a great tactical tool to use to complete your integrations, you know.
So the use cases for Oracle integration is wherever an API is available and an adapter, you use the adapter to connect, and whenever you want to do some screen grabbing, for example, you use RPA.
Well, it can be more than that. Like, as I say, if there were some, say, complex work that need to be done, maybe say some form of reconciliation or whatever, which would involve multiple API calls. And if I didn't have the folks available to implement those API calls, I could do that tactically via the software robot and RPA. And then at a later point in time, I could implement it via the APIs. So it's up to customers how they decide to use this. Yep. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and looking forward to the Boxfusion session now.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Yilmaz, I can see your screen, but you can just put it in presenter mode.
Perfect.
I was just gonna
get this presenter mode on 1 second. WebEx bar is blocking me. 1 second.
Yilmaz, on the lower right, the small icon.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? Can you see my notes?
perfect. Nope, that's perfect.
Perfect. All right. Over to you, Andy.
Yeah, if you just jump ahead, I was just going to introduce a little bit about Boxfusion. I've kind of said a little bit already at the beginning with Jürgen, but just to set up Yilmaz, who's going to speak today. So yeah, if you just go on Yilmaz, yeah, we work with customers, helping them get the most from their Oracle Cloud technology. We work across industries and focus on ensuring our customers deliver great experiences for customers and users. So the technology-wise, that's the Oracle CX and Oracle PaaS technology. And we've worked with Integration Cloud, as I said earlier, since its very early days, with the focus on connecting Oracle CX technology with other Oracle and non-Oracle technology, both in the cloud and on-premise. And actually, yeah, Neil's RPA demo, there's a great example of the value that apps, users and teams can gain from the capabilities within OIC. So our aim is always to improve the value and return on investment customers get from their CX application investments and the data, crucially the data that's held within them. If you just go on to the next slide, Yilmaz, just a few logos to show some of the clients we've been working with across a range of industries. It can be very, very different use cases, but in all these examples, OIC will be deployed to perform business critical functions, driving value from CX, or more value from CX. And some of our customers have won awards for the innovative use of their integration solutions and the value those have brought. And today, Yilmaz is going to go into a little bit of detail about quite an innovative data purging solution we've delivered for one of our CX customers, which uses OIC and OCI services. But I won't steal any more of Yilmaz's thunder. So over to you, Yilmaz.
Thanks, Andy. And thanks everyone for joining. As Andy highlighted, as our customer success story today, including OIC and Oracle CX products, I'd like to share the solution that we have designed, built, and deployed successfully for one of our hospitality customers. A bit of background first. So this customer of ours had 5+ million guest records in their database in Oracle CX Sales, which is part of Fusion family. The customer had complex GDPR rules that required us scanning through the whole database, and that means the guest records, the 5+ million guest records, as well as booking and marketing intelligence records like the clicks, opt-in, opt-out, bounce, etc. So what we had to do was to get all this data out and run the rules on all of the data across with cross-object GDPR rules, such as if the record hasn't booked in X number of years in the past and doesn't have associated bookings, then it's eligible to be purged, etc. So that required us to kind of make sure that the data is up to date, extracted on a nightly basis with all the changes, and again, identify the right records across a huge database to purge from all systems. And when I say all systems, as you will see in the architecture diagram shortly, this includes Oracle CX Sales and Oracle Marketing Cloud responses. A bit of context, again, for those of you who actually did have these challenges before, especially with Fusion products or Oracle CX Sales. Again, running these heavy queries directly on the Fusion database or the CX Sales database could possibly impact the performance of the transactional database, and the process can take a lot longer. Again, in the past, when the OCI native services weren't very commonly used or weren't there, we would have built BI publisher reports and burst the exports out to a location. But again, this, especially with the larger set of data, this came with its risks, and we didn't feel like it would be future-proof in our use case, because there might be, well, there are some timeout limits that's coming into force, and there could be timeout limits enforced on these BI publisher reports in the future. So we wanted to kind of make the solution future-proof and make sure it's scalable, robust, resilient. So therefore, we decided to make the best use of the OCI native services and best practice recommendations to extract data out of CX Sales, and again, to achieve our goal in minutes, seconds, rather than hours. And the aim was to actually create a solution that is resilient, robust, etc., because we wanted to make sure that once we identify these records to be purged, we wanted to keep the state of those records in somewhere to make sure that we capture if it's successfully deleted from the systems, or if it failed, or if it's still in progress. So we wanted to kind of create a solution that's not relying on running the heavy queries directly on Fusion, but to kind of spread it out and leverage the OCI native services. As I said, we have two products so the challenge is we have two databases that we need to coordinate the GDPR or the data purge, and make sure that we keep these databases compliant on a nightly basis. As the first step, what we have done was we used the BI Cloud Connector. Again, some of you might be aware of that add-on, which is more of a recommended approach to extract large amount of data from Fusion. So we've defined 3 scheduled extracts. That is configurable, of course. And we wanted to make sure that the solution can handle the initial go live, or in the initial extract, which was around 5.5 million for contacts, 8.5 million for bookings, and 2.5 for marketing intelligence entities, and also on an ongoing basis as well. Just to give you the full picture, that there was no PII extracted. It was roughly 5 fields per object, so it wasn't like having all the fields out. And roughly, we have achieved 5 minutes mark to extract the data out in the initial extract, and again for the subsequent ones, even less than that. So, and the object storage connectivity from BI Cloud Connector is a configuration option. We didn't code anything in there. It's native. The next step was we configured the object storage buckets to emit events, OCI events. So as soon as the extract lands in OCI object storage, that triggers events, which gets captured by OCI events and notification framework. And again, what this does is twofold. One, it triggers an OIC flow. And as what you will see in this solution is OIC is more like a maestro, like an orchestrator. It triggers an OIC flow once the objects are loaded into object storage. And at the same time, there's another event going to ADW. What we've done within ADW is we've created 3 live feeds for all 3 of these extracts. And basically what live feed is kind of defining an ADW table to use OCI object storage buckets as a data source. And once this event fires out to ADW, what happens in the background is ADW goes and fetches the object storage file extract and kind of triggers a data load job internally. So in the initial run, it basically pulled in all of the data exported. And for incremental runs, which is on the subsequent days after the initial go live, it kind of amends the data that's kept in the autonomous database in there. So just to give you the idea on the timings in here, actually I'm going to come to that in the next one. What happens is once this is done, OIC starts polling to check if the data load job is successful. And once it's done, which is for what the performance metrics we have seen was, again, the biggest one was in the initial go live with 8.5 million booking records being loaded into a table, was around 90 seconds on the initial sync. And the incremental loads, which are around 10K a day, usually takes around 1 to 2 seconds, really. And then once OIC confirms that ADW has completed the data load for the day, what it does is it triggers a stored procedure. So all the logic that we have, all the heavy crunching of data happens in ADW tables in the stored procedures. And once that stored procedure is triggered from OIC, it runs the analysis to, again, running all these complex rules within the stored procedure to identify the contacts to be purged from Sales Cloud or responses, and basically writes them into a table to be able to keep the state of these purges. So initially when they get written, the state is not started, and it could end up being completed or failed, which enables us to replay the errors at the back of it. And this analysis usually averages around 16 seconds a day because it runs across the whole data set. It's pretty consistent across the day. Once the analysis is complete, again, OIC keeps on polling and checking if the results are ready. And if it's ready, it starts basically polling with a size that is configurable. Again, the batch size is configurable as well. And then after that, the 7A and 7B kind of gets fired in parallel to execute the data purge activities. Now, I just wanted to get your attention to one thing in here, is that what we are doing in Fusion is we are first updating and then deleting the contacts in the system, because again, those of you who might be aware, in Fusion, when you're deleting the master records, contacts, accounts in Sales Cloud's case, it's usually a soft delete. So it basically sets the status to inactive and hides it from the UI. But what we are making sure is we are first updating it to remove any PII and then performing the delete on Fusion. Whereas in responses, it's different because it's a hard delete. So we just basically delete the contacts and all the related entities at the back of it. And what we make sure is once these delete operations are running, we write back the results into autonomous database to be able to keep the state of the activities. Just to give you the idea about the performance, it can scale up, flex up to 45,000 contacts across the solution. per day, which was plenty for our use case because our daily load is around 3,000 to 2,000 a day. That's all from my side, really, just to give you the idea, to introduce you the solution that we've designed and implemented and deployed for one of our customers. Andy?
Thank you, Yilmaz. That's great. Yeah, I'm sure if anyone's got any questions at all about it, Yilmaz will be on hand to assist. Please do use the Q&A. While you're thinking about that, we thought we'd take a few minutes at the end of the webinar to also share quickly some other interesting areas that we're looking at in conjunction with our customers using OIC. So I think firstly, I wanted to touch on some data enrichment use cases we're working on with OIC and generative AI. So the hot topic of 2023 in technology, I think is fair, is generative AI, and we've been looking at some enterprise use cases and thinking about where this technology can help our customers. There are many services available publicly, I'm sure you'd be aware, with APIs, but also at Cloud World in Vegas, Oracle announced its beta release of the OCI generative AI service based on the Cohere partnership and the Cohere LLMs. So I think some of the areas we've been looking at it around on this slide of categorization first. So one of the things we see in CX, humans having to manually determine the categorization of data and either making mistakes or not necessarily being interested in doing that 100% accurately, and therefore they may not select the best or correct category for data, whether that's cases or other types of data. So we're looking at passing data sets through a Gen AI engine to determine the category and buckets to which an inquiry or an issue might belong, for example. This will be a big time saver for all parties, where previously or currently the expectations usually for sort of user input data to be done, sometimes based on limited knowledge of the system or the implications of a categorization. I was sort of comparing it to that situation where you sit on the telephone on an IVR system and you've got an issue that you want to speak to someone about, but it gives you a whole list of menu options. Press 1 for this, 2 for this, 3 for this, and you don't see or understand which of those categories your particular issue falls into, because those categories have been set and hard coded by the company, and they may not align to how you think of your issue. So why should you need to make that decision? So why shouldn't you just be able to explain the issue and then have that language and that input go through into a system to figure out the right category and then do with it what it needs to do? So that's why we're looking at OIC callouts to Gen AI. Sentiment analysis, we see all the time the opportunity to use to change decision making, particularly in customer service, but you can see it with HR advisors as well, passing record into Gen AI logic block to kind of enrich and tag this sentiment the customer or the employee is expressing within an email or within a transcript of a conversation. And this can help guide downstream systems and users to adjust the way that they approach that issue or that process. And the other one here is this sort of predictive or next best action, which has been around for a little while. We're thinking here about passing, the data that's being passed from one system to another, following an update in the source system. We're looking at utilizing Gen AI callouts to consider the current state of that data and predict good next best actions. In CX, we're thinking things like predicting delivery dates for a purchase or steps you might need to take to intervene where potentially a customer may be about to churn, and you wouldn't have necessarily realized that churn situation was coming. In HR or recruitment, we thought about passing transcripts of interviews, details of a candidate's interview process. You could start to enrich that data set with a score of the candidate's current likelihood of joining the organization, etc. And all of this is really, we're just looking at using OIC to call out to some of these already available Gen AI services using API calls, but now with the beta release of the Oracle OCI Gen AI service, we can look to build that into our technical POCs as well. I think, Yilmaz, you were going to talk about something you'd also seen with Gen AI and a slightly different slant on it.
Yeah, exactly. So this was, again, one of the features I think Neil just mentioned, but again, was kind of broadcast at Open World, as well as in one of the latest partner webcasts, which really got me excited with, from a developer's or like from a development point of view, using Gen AI on helping the people that are actually developing OIC, more like a co-pilot. Yeah, to my understanding, it's more like a co-pilot for the developer. And again, probably most people developing OIC flows, really, they would like to focus on actually solving the problem rather than doing the legwork. In my view, this feature that once it's available, we would like to try it out next, is kind of to make sure that how it could help from a developer's perspective to perform the time-consuming task that can be automated, and actually the developer focusing on the real problems. And again, it's based on what I've seen in the demos. It's large language model generated integrations based on natural language conversations, and again, that kind of cuts through most of the legwork, right? Based on what I've seen, building the skeleton of the integration for you, and you can just chip in and complete it basically as a developer. And again, the anti-pattern detection and anomaly detection, those are also really helpful, because many times you might build something and then realize that there's some inefficiency after you go through a few cycles of UAT sessions. So I presume that would help reduce that risk. And from a benefits point of view, it's security and everything built in really in one platform in OIC. And also the speed of developing new flows could increase significantly if it's used by a competent OIC developer. And again, yeah, that's one of the main features that I personally am looking forward to trying out.
Cool, thanks, Yilmaz. Yeah, so I think just to wrap up from our side, thanks. I want to thank everyone for joining. Hopefully you found it sort of interesting and somewhat thought-provoking session. And we'd be very happy to follow up with anyone interested in any of the topics we've covered today. And we support many customers who are either current OIC customers or those considering investing and looking at the potential options. So please do reach out via, I think there's some contact details on the next slide. And I also wanted to plug the Cloud World Tour from Oracle in 2024, which was announced, I think, a week or so ago. I'm visiting around 8 cities, I believe, covering a big proportion of the globe, with Dubai, Mumbai, London, Milan, Sao Paulo, Singapore, Tokyo, Mexico City, I think. So we'd love to see you in London in March. But yeah, with that, I'll hand back to Jürgen, and thanks everyone.
Thank you, Andy and Yilmaz.
Thank you.
So to summarize the webcast, if you have questions, please visit the Boxfusion website. There is a dedicated website to Oracle integration, and you can also contact the team via the website. For Oracle integration, for more details, please visit the website and make use of the free trial to give it a go. And as part of the documentation, you can find some live labs for a first impression. For more information, visit the blogs, and also Neil writes an excellent blog, and the newsletter keeps you updated on a quarterly basis. So we do have a couple of questions. So the first question is for Neil, and it came from Ian, and there was a similar question from Henry. Is this RPA tool an Oracle product, or is it UiPath in combination with an adapter?
It's something that we have developed ourselves. Our OIC engineering team have developed this. So it's not an external product. and it will be available as part of the OIC toolkit. We're looking at an ETA early to mid 2024, and you can just use it as needs be in your integration flows. As you can see, you can have an integration that just uses the software robot, or else you could have an integration that combines the other actions that you're using within OIC integrations with RPA.
Okay. There is another RPA question. Is it possible to add approval flow after the RPA entries of creating a project?
Yes. Yeah, like it is very, very easy to actually do this because it's just another action within OIC. So you could, of course, do an invoke of a OPA process with a human task to actually approve that result. So the software robot does something, gives us back a result, and then we can easily, within that integration flow, kick off an approval process where a human being has to look at the result, approve or reject it. Yes.
Okay. If a customer or partner is interested in RPA and might have a good use case, is there a beta program available and
Yes,
whom to reach out?
just contact myself and I can set the ball rolling in this respect. So we are looking at having an early adopter program, and we'd be very, very interested in hearing which use cases customers have.
Excellent. So to reach out to you, Neil, or myself regarding the beta program, and then we will take it from there. Next question is for Yilmaz. For your purge solution, does the purge consider all relations in SaaS into account?
I think I've answered that, but yes, it does. It's basically the OIC flow that's handling the deletion actually takes care of all the related entities, such as contact points, phones, emails, if it's got multiple contacts, multiple phones, multiple emails. And yeah, it doesn't just do the higher level party record, it handles all the related objects. Does that answer your question, Henny? Okay. I had a thumbs up.
Perfect. If you have questions, you can post them in the chat or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. Next question is from Mohammed for Neil. Is it possible to increase the retention period of payloads when we activate integration in debug mode? Oh, we lost Neil. Neil, are you still here?
Sorry about that. I was on mute. Yeah, the payload in debug mode is kept for 24 hours. Now, if you want to extend that, then there's no way to actually do that today. What we do suggest is, okay, audit mode keeps the data for eight days, and then production for 32 days. Now, what we are looking at is extending this to maybe a period of 90 days. So the whole idea here is why we do this, the whole idea with debug mode is you're developing this, you're testing it, and you want to see exactly what's happening to your payload and which paths have been traversed and whatever. The question here is, are you looking at storing this information for compliance purposes? For example, to be able to say that order number 5 was processed on a particular day. So what I would suggest is please just get an email off to myself with the use case that you have, because we have maybe other solutions already available today, such as OCI logging analytics, which you could use for that.
Okay, next question comes from Tony. He would like to know if B2B is available now in Oracle Integration 3.
It is indeed. Our B2B component has been available since the February release. And this 23.10 release, which is happening this week, will include new functionality, like exciting functionality in respect of B2B, such as the ability to replay B2B transactions. So we have a very compelling offering in this space. We've got more than parity with what B2B offered within OIC Generation 2.
Excellent. Any other new adapters or new functionality you would like to highlight in the October release?
Well, in the October release, like one of the focuses that one of our focus is the fact that many of our customers have multiple clouds. They don't just have one cloud provider, be it OCI, Amazon, or Google. or Azure, they have multiple. So we have in the October release included new adapters for Azure, for Google, PubSub, and so on. So we are really focusing heavily on multi-cloud. Now, we, of course, our adapters for Oracle SaaS are the non plus ultra on the market, of course, and there are always enhancements happening to the adapters. So to get more details on this, please visit our blogs.oracle.com/integration, and there you will see a post on what's new in 2310. That lists all of the new adapters, as well as gives you a link to a more detailed description or more detailed on each of those new adapters, etc.
Wonderful, Neil. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the answers. If you have further questions, you can reach out to the team. Andy, thank you very much. And Yilmaz, thank you very much for the great presentation today.
Thanks, Jürgen.
You can,
Thanks all.
Jürgen.
you can find us also on social media like LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out for further questions or feel free to post them at Cloud Customer Connect. Make use of the integration resources, including the website, documentation, blogs, newsletter, Customer Connect, and Partner Finder to find partners like Boxfusion. And you can also reach out to the Oracle product management team. Neil Kominski is our product manager for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Paolo Mota for South America. Ravi Chaplani for the US. Ravi Pinto for India. Steve for Asia, and feel free to reach out myself regarding partner inquiries or marketing activities. We would like to say thank you for attending today's webinar. The next webcast will take place January 10th. So please tune in and make use of the newsletter, and thank you for attending.
Thank you, Jürgen, for everything. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.